The cleaning cart made a soft sound as Park Do-hun pushed it through the empty corridor. It was late, almost midnight by Earth time, and the lights in this section of the Galactic Embassy Station had dimmed to save power. Most people were sleeping, but not Do-hun. He had work to do. He was a janitor, nothing special, just a man with a mop and a cart full of cleaning supplies. He wore a simple blue uniform with his name stitched on the chest. His hands were rough from years of hard work, his back hurt most nights. But he never complained. This job paid well, and that was what mattered. The embassy station floated in space above Earth. It was the year 2187, and humans had finally met other species from across the galaxy. The station was where all the important meetings happened. Diplomats from dozens of alien worlds walked these halls during the day. At night, only the cleaners remained. Do-hun hummed quietly as he worked. It was an old song, a lullaby his wife used to sing to their daughter. His wife had been gone for 3 years now. Cancer. The doctors tried everything, but some battles cannot be won. He still hummed her songs. It made him feel like she was still with him somehow. He stopped at a window and looked down at Earth. The blue planet glowed softly in the darkness of space. Somewhere down there was his old home. His old life. Now he lived on this station with his daughter, Sua. She was 7 years old and the reason he woke up every morning. Most humans avoided the alien sections of the station. The species were strange. Their customs were different. Some of them smelled odd or looked frightening, but Do-hun did not mind. He cleaned every corridor the same way. A floor was a floor. Dust was dust. It did not matter who walked on it. Tonight, he was assigned to the restricted wing. This was where the Volari delegation stayed. The Volari were one of the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. They had pale purple skin and silver eyes that seemed to glow in dim light. They were beautiful in a cold, distant way, like statues made of moonlight. The Volari did not talk to janitors. They barely talked to anyone. Their leader, the Empress Aelith, had come to Earth herself for these negotiations. That was unusual. Important. But Do-hun did not think about politics. He just mopped the floors and emptied the trash bins. As he turned a corner, he noticed something strange. One of the observation rooms had its door open. These rooms had large windows that looked out at Earth and the stars. They were meant for meditation and quiet thinking. At this hour, they should be empty. Do-hun approached slowly. He did not want to disturb anyone. He peeked inside and saw a small figure sitting alone in the darkness. It was a child. A Volari child. She sat on the floor with her knees pulled to her chest, staring out at Earth below. She was young, maybe 12 in human years. Her skin was pale lavender, and her silver eyes reflected the starlight. She wore a simple white dress. Her hair was long and silver white, falling around her shoulders like water. She looked sad. No, not just sad. She looked broken. Like something inside her had shattered and no one knew how to fix it. Do-hun recognized her. This was Princess Lyra, the Empress's only daughter. He had heard the other workers whisper about her. They said she had not spoken a single word in 2 years. Something terrible had happened on her homeworld. An attack. Violence. The details were unclear, but the result was simple. The princess was silent. Completely, utterly silent. He did not enter the room. It was not his place. He was just a janitor, and she was royalty from a powerful alien empire. But he stood there for a moment, watching her small form against the vast window. She looked so alone. So lost. He thought about Sua. His daughter sometimes had nightmares about her mother. She would wake up crying, calling for someone who could not answer. On those nights, Do-hun would hold her and sing the lullaby until she fell back asleep. He wished he could do something for this alien child. But what could a human janitor do for a princess? He turned away and continued his work. Some things were not his business. An hour later, Do-hun finished his shift in the restricted wing and walked to the station's childcare center. It was a small room filled with toys and soft mats where workers could leave their children during shifts. Most parents picked up their kids earlier, but Sua liked to wait for her father. She was sitting at a small table, drawing with crayons. When she saw him, her face lit up like the sun. "Appa!" she called out, using the Korean word for father. She ran to him and wrapped her arms around his legs. Do-hun smiled and lifted her up. She was getting heavy. Soon she would be too big to carry. But not yet. Not tonight. Did you have a good day? He asked. Yes. I drew a picture of a spaceship. And I made a friend. Her name is Yuna. She has a pet robot. Do-hun laughed. A pet robot? That sounds fun. As they walked through the corridors toward their small apartment, Soo-ah asked if she could help him work. She always asked. Do-hun usually said no because the chemicals were dangerous and the hours were late. But tonight, he had one last area to check. Just a quick round through the common areas. Okay, he said. But only for a little while, then bed. Soo-ah cheered and grabbed a small cloth from his cart. She liked to dust the low railings and pretend she was a professional cleaner like her father. It made Do-hun's heart warm and ache at the same time. His daughter should be playing with toys, not helping him clean space stations. But this was their life. They made it work. They walked together through the Arboretum, a large dome filled with earth plants. It was the station's garden, a place where anyone could come to see green things growing. Do-hun liked this place. It reminded him of home. Soo-ah ran ahead, dusting a bench near the roses. Then she stopped. She was looking at something through the glass wall that separated the Arboretum from the corridor. Appa, look, she whispered. Do-hun walked over and saw what she was seeing. On the other side of the glass, in the corridor, stood Princess Lyra. She must have left the observation room. Now she was here, standing still, watching them. Soo-ah did what any 7-year-old would do. She smiled and waved. Do-hun held his breath. He expected the princess to turn away, to ignore them. Why would alien royalty acknowledge a janitor's child? But Lyra did not turn away. Her silver eyes stayed fixed on Soo-ah. Something moved in them. Not quite emotion, more like the ghost of emotion. Like she had forgotten what it felt like to see a friendly face. She did not wave back. But she did not leave either. After a long moment, Do-hun gently took Soo-ah's hand. Come on, sweetie, time to go. But Appa. She looks lonely. I know, Do-hun said softly. But it is not our place. He led his daughter away, pushing his cart with one hand. As they turned the corner, he glanced back one last time. Princess Lyra was still standing there, watching them leave, her small hands pressed against the glass. Do-hun felt something twist in his chest. He did not know what it was. Pity, maybe, or something deeper. He was just a janitor. There was nothing he could do. But that night, as he tucked Soo-ah into bed and sang her the lullaby, he thought about the princess alone in the dark corridor. And he wondered if anyone sang songs for her. 3 days passed. The station buzzed with rumors about the Valari negotiations. People said they were not going well. The Empress was unhappy. Her advisors looked tired and frustrated. But Do-hun did not pay attention to politics. He had floors to clean and a daughter to raise. During his lunch break, he sat in the workers' break room and ate his rice and vegetables. 2 other janitors sat nearby, talking loudly. Do-hun tried to focus on his food, but their words reached his ears anyway. Have you seen the Valari princess? One of them said. A man named Kim Junho. He was young and liked to gossip. She is completely broken. Does not speak. Does not react. Just stares at nothing. The other worker, a woman named Lee Eunji, nodded. I heard she has been like that for 2 years. Some kind of attack on their homeworld. Killed thousands. She saw the whole thing. Poor thing, Junho said. But his voice did not sound sad. It sounded curious, like he was talking about an interesting story, not a real child. They brought healers from across the galaxy. None of them could fix her. She is damaged goods. Do-hun put down his chopsticks. His appetite was gone. Do not talk about a child that way, he said quietly. Junho looked surprised. Do-hun rarely spoke during breaks. He was known as the quiet one. I am just saying what everyone knows, Junho said. She is broken, probably beyond repair. Do-hun stood up and threw away the rest of his lunch. He walked out of the break room without another word. Behind him, he heard Junho mutter something about being too sensitive. He did not care. That night, his shift took him to the arboretum again. The garden dome was peaceful at night. The artificial lights dimmed to simulate moonlight, and the plants released a soft, clean smell. Do-hun liked working here. It was the closest thing to nature on the whole station. He was adjusting a sprinkler near the flower beds when he noticed movement. Someone was sitting among the roses. A small figure with lavender skin and silver hair. Princess Lyra. She sat on the ground, her white dress spreading around her like petals. Her fingers reached out to touch a red rose. She was gentle, careful, like she was afraid the flower might break. Or maybe she was afraid she might break. When she saw Do-hun, she flinched. Her whole body tensed, and her eyes went wide. She looked ready to run. Do-hun did not react. He did not bow or apologize or back away. He just continued his work. He moved to the next flower bed and started pulling small weeds from the soil. He acted like finding an alien princess in the garden was completely normal. After a minute, he started talking. Not to her, just out loud, to himself, to the plants, to the empty air. "These roses are doing well," he said. "Better than last month. The new fertilizer is working, I think." He moved to another section. Still talking. "My wife loved roses. She had a small garden back on Earth. Red ones, pink ones, yellow ones, every color you can imagine. When she got sick, I tried to keep them alive for her, but I was not very good at it. They started to die one by one." He paused, remembering. His hands kept working, pulling weeds, checking leaves. "My daughter Suwa tries to grow them now. She is only 7, but she is determined. The problem is, she gives them too much water. She loves them so much that she drowns them." He laughed softly. "I keep telling her that love needs balance. Too much can be just as bad as too little." He glanced at Princess Lyra. She had not moved, but she was watching him, really watching, not with fear or suspicion, with something else, curiosity maybe. Do-hun did not push. He did not ask her questions or wait for answers. He just kept working, kept talking, kept existing in her space without demanding anything from her. Before he left, he noticed a flower near her that was wilting. Its petals were drooping, and its stem bent toward the ground. He walked over slowly, giving her time to move away if she wanted. She did not move. He knelt beside the flower and examined it. "This one needs more water," he said gently. "See how the leaves are dry? It is thirsty." He looked at her, just for a moment. "Like people. Sometimes we get so dry inside that we start to wilt, and we need someone to notice." He adjusted the flower, positioning it toward the light. Then he stood up, nodded politely, and walked away with his cart. He did not look back. But if he had, he would have seen Princess Lyra staring at the flower he had touched. Her silver eyes were soft. For the first time in many months, she did not feel like a broken thing being examined by doctors. She felt like a person. A wilting person, maybe, but still a person. High above the arboretum, in a small security room, Empress Aelith watched through a monitor. She had cameras everywhere her daughter went. Not because she did not trust Lyra, but because she was terrified of losing her. The attack that took Lyra's voice had almost taken her life too. The Empress watched the human janitor talk to himself and tend to the flowers. She watched him speak to Lyra without speaking to her. She watched him leave without asking for anything in return. "Who is he?" she asked. Commander Taelun stood beside her, his face stern. He was the head of her royal guard, a warrior who had served the Valari Empire for decades. "A janitor," he said. "Human. Name is Park Do-hun. Widower. 1 child. No criminal record. No notable history. He is nobody." Aelith watched the screen as Do-hun disappeared from view. Her daughter remained in the garden, touching the rose he had adjusted. "Nobody," she repeated. "And yet my daughter did not run from him." Taelun had no answer for that. The next morning, Suwa woke up early. She had an idea, a brilliant idea, in her 7-year-old opinion. "Appa, I want to make something," she announced at breakfast. Do-hun poured her some orange juice. "What do you want to make?" "A present. For the sad princess." Do-hun paused. Su'a, the princess is very important. We cannot just give her presents. Why not? It was a simple question. Children always asked simple questions that had complicated answers. Because it might not be appropriate. She is royalty. We are just regular people. Su'a frowned. But she looked sad. Really, really sad. Presents make sad people happy. That is a rule. Do-hun sighed. His daughter had a heart bigger than the whole station. He could not bring himself to crush her kindness. What kind of present? He asked. Su'a grinned. She grabbed her crayons and a piece of paper. For the next hour, she worked on her masterpiece. It was a drawing of a flower. A big, colorful flower with red and pink and yellow petals. At the bottom, she wrote in her messy handwriting, "For the sad princess, flowers make me happy. Su'a, age 7. That evening, while Do-hun was working, Su'a convinced him to walk past the Valari quarters. She placed her drawing on the floor outside their door, right where someone would see it. There, she said proudly. Now she will know someone is thinking about her. Do-hun looked at the small piece of paper on the cold metal floor. Part of him wanted to pick it up. This was foolish. The Valari guards would probably throw it away. Or worse, they might be offended. But he looked at Su'a's hopeful face, and he could not do it. Okay, he said. Let us go. They walked away, leaving the drawing behind. An hour later, Commander Talon found it during his patrol. He picked it up and looked at the childish drawing and the simple message. His first instinct was to discard it. This was inappropriate. Random humans leaving gifts outside the royal quarters? Unacceptable. He was about to crumple the paper when a voice stopped him. Wait. He turned. Empress Aelith stood in the doorway of her chambers. She was tall and elegant, her lavender skin glowing softly in the corridor lights. She wore a silver gown that seemed to float around her. Give it to me, she said. Talon hesitated. Your Majesty, it is just trash from some human child. Give it to me. He handed it over. The Empress looked at the drawing. Flowers make me happy. Such a simple idea. Such a human idea. She walked to her daughter's room and placed the drawing on Lyra's pillow. Then she returned to her own chambers and stood by the window, looking at Earth below. She had brought the finest healers in the galaxy to help her daughter. Telepaths, psychologists, specialists of every kind. None of them had made Lyra react the way she had in the garden. None of them had made her stay and watch instead of running away. And now this. A crayon drawing from a janitor's child. Empress Aelith did not understand humans. But for the first time, she wondered if maybe she should try. 2 weeks passed, and something strange began to happen. Park Do-hun started finding Princess Lyra in the Arboretum almost every night. At first, he thought it was a coincidence. Then he realized she was waiting for him. She never spoke. She never approached him directly, but she was always there, sitting among the flowers, watching as he worked. And slowly, very slowly, she began to change. On the 4th night, she moved closer to where he was working. On the 6th night, she pointed at a yellow flower, and Do-hun told her it was called a sunflower. On the 9th night, she helped him carry a watering can from one bed to another. Her small lavender hands gripped the handle, and for a moment, they worked side by side like old friends. Do-hun never made a big deal about these moments. He did not praise her or ask questions. He just accepted her presence like it was the most natural thing in the world. And maybe, to him, it was. He was a simple man. He did not see an alien princess. He saw a child who needed quiet company. He talked during their time together, always in his calm, steady voice. He told her about Su'a and her adventures at school. He told her about his wife and how they met at a small coffee shop in Seoul. He told her about Earth, about rain and snow and the way cherry blossoms fell in spring. Lyra listened to everything. Her silver eyes followed his hands as he worked. Sometimes, when he said something funny, her lips would twitch. Not quite a smile, but close, closer than anyone had seen in 2 years. One evening, Do-hun brought Su'a to the Arboretum. He usually kept her away from his work areas, but she had been asking about the princess every day. Her curiosity was endless. "Is she there tonight, Appa?" Sua asked as they walked through the corridors. "The sad princess?" "I do not know," Dohun said. "And remember, we must be respectful. Do not stare or ask too many questions." I know. Sua skipped ahead, her small feet pattering on the metal floor. "I just want to see if she liked my drawing." They entered the arboretum, and there she was. Princess Lyra sat near the roses, her usual spot. When she saw Sua, her body tensed slightly. New people were difficult. New people always wanted something. But Sua was not like other people. She walked right up to the princess, sat down on the grass beside her, and smiled. "Hi," she said. "I am Sua. I gave you the flower drawing. Did you like it?" Lyra stared at her. This tiny human child with messy hair and a gap-toothed smile was treating her like any other kid. Not like a broken princess. Not like a silent mystery. Just like a regular person. Sua did not wait for an answer. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "I learned how to make paper cranes," she said. "My friend Yuna taught me. Do you want to see?" She unfolded the paper and began to fold it into the shape of a bird. Her small fingers moved clumsily but with determination. Lyra watched, fascinated. Valari children did not have crafts like this. Their entertainment came from telepathic games and mental puzzles. When Sua finished, she held up the paper crane proudly. "See? It is a bird. You can make a wish on it." She placed the crane in Lyra's hands. "I wish for you to be happy. Now you try." She pulled out another piece of paper and handed it to Lyra. The princess looked at it, then at Sua, then at the crane in her hands. Slowly, carefully, she began to fold. Dohun watched from nearby, pretending to work. His heart ached with a sweet kind of pain. His daughter was doing something he could never do. She was reaching across the gap between species and loneliness and trauma with nothing but pure, innocent kindness. The weeks continued. Sua came to the arboretum whenever she could. She taught Lyra how to make paper cranes. She showed her how to play hand-clapping games. She drew pictures and told stories about her school and her friends and her dreams of becoming a spaceship captain. Lyra never spoke, but she participated. She folded cranes. She clapped her hands in the games, even though she did not know the rhythms. She looked at the drawings and touched them gently, like they were treasures. One night, Dohun spoke with a diplomat he knew from the cafeteria, a man named Baek Ji-hoon, who worked as a translator for the Valari delegation. "You want to know about Valari children?" Ji-hoon said, surprised. "Why?" "Just curious," Dohun said. "I have seen them around the station. They seem different from human children." Ji-hoon nodded. "They are. Valari children communicate through telepathy until they reach adolescence. They do not need words. They share thoughts and feelings directly, mind to mind. It is a very intimate form of connection." Dohun thought about this. What happens if they cannot use telepathy? Ji-hoon's expression darkened. That would be devastating. Imagine being unable to speak, write, sign, or communicate in any way. Complete isolation. That is what it would feel like for a Valari child to lose their telepathic abilities. Dohun felt cold. Has that ever happened? Once. Recently. The princess. Ji-hoon lowered his voice. The attack on their homeworld was not just physical. The enemies used a weapon that burned out telepathic connections. Princess Lyra was caught in the blast. Her voice, both physical and mental, was destroyed. She is completely silent. Forever. Forever. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. That night, Dohun understood everything. The specialists who failed, the healers who gave up. They were trying to restore something that was gone forever. They were trying to fix what could not be fixed. But humans did not rely on telepathy. Humans had other ways to communicate. Words, yes, but also touch, also presence, also the simple act of being there, of showing up, of existing beside someone in their darkness. He found Lyra in the arboretum again. She was holding one of Sua's paper cranes. He sat down near her, not too close, and started talking like always. But tonight, he did something different. He hummed, just a simple tune. The lullaby his wife used to sing. He did not expect anything. He just wanted to fill the silence with something warm. Lyra turned to look at him. Her silver eyes studied his face as the melody floated through the garden. After a while, Do-hun stopped and smiled at her. My wife used to sing that. When Sua was a baby, it was the only thing that would make her sleep. He did not ask Lyra to respond. He never asked. But then Sua, who had been playing nearby, came bouncing over. Appa, that is Umma's song, she said, using the Korean word for mother. Sing it again, I want to try too. So Do-hun hummed, and Sua tried to hum along, her small voice wobbling on the notes. They were not a perfect choir. They were messy and off-key and beautiful in the way that only real, unpolished love can be. Lyra watched them. Her lips parted slightly. She tried to make a sound. Nothing came out. But she tried. Her mouth moved with the shape of the melody. Do-hun noticed but did not say anything. He just kept humming, kept being present, kept showing her that she was not alone. High above, in her private viewing room, Empress Aelith watched through the security feed. Her daughter was sitting with a human janitor and his child, trying to hum a song. No sound came out, but her lips were moving. The Empress gripped the edge of her chair. Her hands trembled. Your Majesty, Commander Taelun said from behind her. Perhaps we should stop this. It is not appropriate for the princess to spend so much time with commoners, especially humans. Stop it? Aelith's voice cracked. Look at her, Taelun. Look at my daughter. On the screen, Lyra's lips continued to move. She was trying to follow the melody. She was trying to make a sound. For the first time in 2 years, she was trying. Taelun looked. He saw what the Empress saw. And for the first time in his long career, he had no words. She is trying, Aelith whispered. Tears gathered in her silver eyes but did not fall. Empresses did not cry. But mothers did. My little girl is trying. She reached out and touched the screen, her fingers resting on the image of her daughter. The human janitor continued to hum, his child singing beside him, completely unaware that they were doing what the greatest healers in the galaxy could not. They were giving Lyra a reason to try. It was a difficult day for Park Do-hun. Sua had woken up with a fever. Her small body burned hot, and her eyes were glassy and tired. The station's medical center said it was just a common cold, nothing serious. But Do-hun was a father, and fathers worried. He sat beside her bed in the medical bay, holding her hand. She looked so small against the white sheets, so fragile. He remembered when his wife got sick. It started with small things too, a cough, a fever. Then it grew into something that could not be stopped. He knew this was different. He knew Sua would be fine in a few days. But the fear was still there, living in his chest like a cold stone. Appa, Sua said weakly. Are you going to work tonight? I should stay with you, he said. No. She shook her head slowly. You should go. The princess will be waiting. Do-hun smiled sadly. Even when she was sick, his daughter thought about others. She will understand if I do not come one night. But she might be sad. She might think you forgot about her. Sua's eyes were serious. You always say showing up is important. That is what you told me. Showing up is how you tell people they matter. Do-hun felt his throat tighten. When did his 7-year-old become so wise? Okay, he said. I will go, but only for a little while. Then I will come right back. Sua smiled and squeezed his hand. Tell the princess I said hello. And give her this. She reached under her pillow and pulled out a paper crane. It was wrinkled from being slept on, but it was still recognizable. I made it for her this morning, before I got sick. Do-hun took the crane carefully. It felt heavier than paper. It felt like love made into a shape. That night, he went to the arboretum. His feet were heavy. His mind was full of worry. He almost turned back 3 times. But he kept walking. Showing up was important. That was what he believed. Princess Lyra was there, in her usual spot near the roses. When she saw him enter, her face changed. Something flickered in her silver eyes. Relief, maybe, or hope. She had been waiting. But then she noticed something was wrong. Do-hun's shoulders slumped. His movements were slow. He did not hum as he walked. He did not talk to the plants. He just pushed his cart in silence, his mind somewhere far away. Lyra watched him with growing concern. She had learned to read him over these weeks. She knew his happy walk and his tired walk. She knew when he had a good day and when he had a bad one. Tonight was different. Tonight, something was hurting him deeply. She stood up. She walked toward him. This was new. She never approached him first. She always waited for him to fill the space with his words and his presence. But tonight, he needed her. She stopped in front of his cart and looked up at him with worried eyes. Do-hun blinked, surprised to see her so close. Then he managed a small smile. "Hello, Lyra," he said. His voice was rough. "I am sorry. I am not very good company tonight." She tilted her head, waiting, asking without words. He sighed and sat down on a nearby bench. After a moment, she sat beside him. Close. Closer than she had ever sat before. "Sua is sick," he said. "Just a cold. The doctors say she will be fine, but I—" He stopped, struggling to find the words. "I worry too much. Ever since my wife died, I worry about everything. I am afraid of losing Sua too. I am afraid of being alone." The words came out before he could stop them. He did not usually talk about these things. He kept his fears locked away where they could not bother anyone. But tonight, with this silent princess beside him, the locks broke open. "My wife was the strong one," he continued. "She knew how to face hard things. She knew how to smile even when everything was falling apart. I always leaned on her. When she died, I did not know how to stand on my own." His voice cracked. He looked at his hands. "Sua saved me. She needed me to be strong, so I became strong. But some nights, like tonight, I remember that I am just a scared man who misses his wife and worries about his daughter. I am not brave. I just pretend to be." He fell silent. The arboretum was quiet, just the soft hum of the air systems and the gentle rustle of leaves. Then something touched his hand. Do-hun looked down. Lyra's small lavender fingers rested on his. Her skin was cool and smooth. Her silver eyes met his, and in them, he saw understanding. Real, deep understanding. She knew what it meant to be afraid. She knew what it meant to lose something precious. His eyes stung. He blinked hard. "Thank you," he whispered. They sat together in the silence. Two broken people sharing their brokenness. And somehow, in that sharing, becoming a little less broken. After a while, Do-hun remembered the paper crane. He reached into his pocket and pulled it out. "Sua made this for you," he said. "She wanted you to have it. Even when she was sick, she was thinking about you." Lyra took the crane gently. She held it like it was the most precious thing in the universe. Her eyes glistened. Do-hun watched her for a moment. Then, without really thinking about it, he started to hum. The lullaby. His wife's song. It came out of him naturally, like breathing. He hummed it for Sua, who was lying in a medical bed. He hummed it for his wife, who was somewhere beyond the stars. He hummed it for this lonely princess who had lost her voice. The melody floated through the garden, wrapping around the flowers and the leaves and the two figures on the bench. It was sad and beautiful and full of all the love that Do-hun carried in his tired heart. He closed his eyes as he hummed. He let the music take him somewhere soft and warm. A place where his wife still lived and his daughter never got sick and princesses could speak. Then he heard something. A sound. Soft as a breath. Rough as sandpaper. But unmistakably there. His eyes snapped open. Lyra's lips were moving, and from them came a noise. Not a word. Not quite a note, but a sound. A murmur. She was trying to follow his melody. Do-hun's heart stopped. Then it started again, beating so hard he could feel it in his ears. He did not stop humming. He did not want to break the spell. He kept going, kept the melody alive, and Lyra kept trying. The murmur grew slightly stronger. One broken note, then another. They did not match the tune. They wobbled and cracked. But they were real. For the first time in 2 years, Princess Lyra was making a sound. Tears filled Do-hun's eyes. He let them fall. He was not ashamed. This moment was too big for shame. He kept humming until the song ended. And when it was over, they sat together in a new kind of silence. A silence that was not empty. A silence that was full of hope. Lyra looked at him. Her silver eyes were wet. She opened her mouth and tried again. A soft, scratchy sound came out. It was barely a whisper. But it was hers. Her voice. Damaged and rough, but alive. Do-hun smiled through his tears. "You found it," he said softly. "You found your voice." She blinked, and tears streamed down her lavender cheeks. She did not understand how this happened. She did not know why this human's simple song could do what all the healers could not. But it did not matter. Something inside her had cracked open, and sound was leaking out. She reached out and took his hand again. She squeezed it hard, saying with touch what she could not yet say with words. "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." In the observation room above the arboretum, Empress Aelith watched everything. She had seen her daughter reach out to the human. She had seen them sit together. She had heard the lullaby through the microphones. And she had heard the murmur. The sound of her daughter's voice, broken and rough and beautiful, filled the small room. Aelith stood frozen, her hand pressed over her mouth. Tears poured down her face. She could not stop them. She did not try. Commander Talon stood behind her, his own face pale with shock. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice unsteady. She spoke. She made a sound. Aelith could not respond. She watched the screen, where Do-hun and Lyra sat together, two people joined by something that had no name. The janitor was crying too. He did not look proud or triumphant. He just looked relieved. Happy. Like he had given a gift and expected nothing in return. "How?" Talon asked. "How did he do it?" "We brought the best telepaths, the best therapists, the best minds in the Empire. None of them could reach her." Aelith finally found her voice. It came out as a whisper. "He gave her something they could not," she said. "He gave her safety. He gave her time. He gave her patience without expectation." She turned to look at Talon, tears still wet on her cheeks. "He gave her humanity." Talon looked at the screen. The human janitor was saying something to the princess, something gentle that made her almost smile. This was not medicine. This was not science. This was something else entirely. "What do we do now, Your Majesty?" The Empress wiped her eyes. When she spoke, her voice was steady again. The voice of an empress, not just a mother. "Now," she said, "we thank him." The next morning, Su-Ah's fever broke. She woke up hungry and cheerful, demanding toast and juice, and asking when she could leave the medical bay. Do-hun held her tight and thanked every star in the sky. "Appa, you are squishing me," she complained. But she was smiling. Sorry. He loosened his grip but did not let go completely. "I was worried about you." "I know, but I am okay now." She looked at him with her big, curious eyes. "Did you see the princess last night? Did you give her my crane?" Do-hun's mind went back to the arboretum. The sound of Lyra's voice, rough and broken, but real. The tears on both their faces. It felt like a dream now, in the bright lights of the medical bay. "Yes," he said. "I gave her the crane. She loved it." Su-Ah beamed. "I knew she would." They went back to their small apartment, and Do-hun made breakfast while Su-Ah played with her toys. It was a normal morning. Quiet. Peaceful. He did not expect anything else. Then someone knocked on the door. Do-hun opened it and found Commander Talon standing in the corridor. The tall Valari warrior looked out of place in the human residential section, his silver armor gleaming under the dim lights. Behind him stood 2 guards. Do-hun's heart dropped. Had he done something wrong? Was he in trouble for spending time with the princess? "Park Do-hun?" Talon's voice was formal but not hostile. "Yes?" "The Empress requests your presence. You and your daughter." Do-hun stared. The Empress? The ruler of one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy wanted to see him. A janitor? Is something wrong? he managed. Taelun's expression softened slightly. It was strange to see on his stern face. No, he said. Nothing is wrong. Please come with us. Do-hun looked back at Sua, who had appeared behind him with curious eyes. Are we going on an adventure, Appa? She asked. He did not know how to answer, so he just took her hand. I think so, he said. They followed Commander Taelun through the station, past corridors that Do-hun had cleaned 100 times, into sections he had never been allowed to enter. The Volari delegation's private chambers were beautiful. The walls were made of something like crystal, and soft light seemed to glow from within them. Everything was elegant and ancient and completely overwhelming. They were led into a large room with a high ceiling. At the far end stood Empress Aelith. She was tall and graceful, her lavender skin glowing in the soft light. Her silver gown flowed around her like water. She wore a thin crown of woven metal on her head, and her silver eyes were deep and unreadable. Do-hun bowed immediately, pulling Su-ah into a clumsy bow beside him. Your Majesty, he said, his voice shaking. I am honored. If I have done anything wrong, I apologize. I did not mean to. Stand up, the Empress said. Her voice was soft but carried through the room like music. Do-hun stood, keeping his eyes down. Su-ah, who had never learned to be afraid of royalty, looked up at the Empress with wide eyes. Hello, she said brightly. Are you Lyra's mom? You are really pretty. Do-hun felt his face turn red. Su-ah, but the Empress laughed. It was a gentle sound, like bells ringing. Yes, she said. I am Lyra's mother. And you must be Sua. I have heard much about you. Su-ah grinned. Did Lyra tell you about me? The Empress's expression changed. Something flickered across her face. Pain, maybe, or hope. In a way, she said. She could not tell me with words. But I saw. I watched. She stepped forward, closer to Do-hun and Sua. Her guards moved to follow, but she raised a hand, and they stopped. Park Do-hun, she said. Do you know why I asked you here? No, Your Majesty. Then let me explain. She took a breath. For a moment, she did not look like an empress. She looked like a tired mother. 2 years ago, my daughter witnessed an attack on our homeworld. Many people died. She nearly died, and in the chaos, she was exposed to a weapon that destroyed her telepathic abilities. Do-hun nodded. He had heard some of this from the diplomat. For Volari children, telepathy is everything, the Empress continued. It is how they speak, think, connect with others. Losing it is like losing all 5 senses at once. Lyra was trapped inside herself. She could not reach out, and no one could reach in. She paused. Her silver eyes glistened. I brought healers from every corner of the Empire. The best minds. The most advanced technology. None of them helped. They poked and prodded and analyzed, and my daughter retreated further into silence. I began to lose hope. Her voice cracked slightly. She steadied herself. And then a human janitor started talking to the flowers. Do-hun's eyes widened. I watched you, the Empress said, through the security systems. I saw you find my daughter in the observation room and choose not to approach. I saw you give her space in the arboretum. I saw you talk without demanding answers. I saw your daughter teach mine to fold paper into birds. She stepped even closer. Now she was directly in front of him, close enough that he could see the tears forming in her eyes. Last night, I heard my daughter's voice for the first time in 2 years. Do-hun felt his own eyes sting. Your Majesty, I did not do anything special. You did everything. Her voice was fierce now. You gave her what no healer could give. You gave her presence without pressure, safety without conditions. You saw her as a person, not a problem to be fixed. And somehow, that was enough. She did something that made Commander Taelun gasp. She knelt. The Empress of the Volari Empire knelt before a human janitor. Thank you, she said, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for giving me my daughter back. Do-hun did not know what to do. He wanted to tell her to stand up. He wanted to say he was not worthy. But words would not come, so he just stood there, tears running down his face, while an empress knelt at his feet. Suwa tugged at his hand. Appa, why is she kneeling? Is she looking for something? Despite everything, Do-hun laughed. A wet, broken laugh. No, sweetheart, she is just saying thank you. Oh, Suwa smiled at the Empress. You are welcome. Lyra is our friend. The Empress rose gracefully. She looked at Suwa with something like wonder. Yes, she said, she is. A door opened at the side of the room. Princess Lyra walked in. She wore a pale blue dress today, and her silver hair was braided with small flowers. She looked nervous but determined. She walked past her mother, past Commander Talon, past the guards, straight to Do-hun and Suwa. She stopped in front of them and took a deep breath. Then she spoke. Her voice was rough. The words came slowly, each one a struggle. But they were real. Thank you, friend. 3 words. The first words she had spoken in 2 years. She had been practicing all night, forcing sound through a throat that had forgotten how to work. It hurt. It was hard. But she wanted to say it herself. Suwa threw her arms around Lyra. You talked! You talked! I knew you could do it! Lyra looked surprised at the hug, but she did not pull away. After a moment, her arms came up and hugged Suwa back. Do-hun knelt so he was at eye level with both girls. He looked at Lyra with gentle eyes. You are welcome, he said. But you did the hard part, not us. Lyra's silver eyes met his. She shook her head slowly. Then she pointed at him. At Suwa. At her own heart. You made this possible. The Empress stepped forward. Park Do-hun, I wish to repay you. Anything you want. Wealth, status, a position of honor in my court. Name it, and it is yours. Do-hun stood and faced her. He thought about the offer. Money would make life easier. Status would open doors. But those things did not matter to him. Your Majesty, he said, I do not need wealth or titles. I have a job that pays the bills and a daughter who makes me happy. That is enough. The Empress looked surprised. Surely there is something. Do-hun looked at Suwa and Lyra, still hugging each other. Then he smiled. There is one thing, he said. My daughter would like to keep visiting Lyra, if that is allowed. The Empress stared at him. Then she laughed. A real laugh full of warmth. That is all? That is your request? That is all. He paused. And also, I need to finish my shift. The East Corridor still needs mopping. For a moment, there was silence. Then Commander Talon made a choking sound that might have been a laugh. The Empress shook her head in disbelief. You are a strange man. Park Do-hun, I am a janitor, Your Majesty. We are simple people. He bowed again, then took Suwa's hand. She waved goodbye to Lyra, who waved back with a small smile. As they walked toward the door, the Empress spoke again. Park Do-hun. He turned. The East Corridor can wait, she said. Tonight, have dinner with your daughter. Rest. You have done enough. He nodded. Thank you, Your Majesty. They left the chamber. Behind them, the Empress turned to Commander Talon. Her face was thoughtful, her eyes distant. We came to Earth seeking an alliance, she said quietly. We wanted their resources, their military potential, their technological innovation. Talon nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. She watched through the doorway as the janitor walked away, his small daughter skipping beside him, their hands clasped together. We did not know, she whispered. Know what, Your Majesty? Empress Aelith was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft with wonder. We did not know what they carry inside them. She touched her heart, where the sound of her daughter's voice still echoed. We did not know what makes them human. Far down the corridor, Park Do-hun lifted Suwa onto his shoulders. She laughed and grabbed his hair for balance. Tomorrow, he would mop floors and clean windows and empty trash bins. Tomorrow, life would go back to normal. But tonight, he was a father walking home with his daughter. And somewhere in the station, a princess was learning to speak again. That was enough. That was more than enough.